There comes a moment in every life when the winds shift, the earth trembles softly beneath our feet, and something within us whispers, "Pay attention." For when God is preparing to move mountains on your behalf, He does not come quietly. He does not slip into your days unnoticed. No, my friend, He sends signs, gentle at first, then bold enough to stir the sleeping parts of your soul. And if you dare to pause, to breathe, to listen, you will feel the sacred truth rising, that you are standing at the edge of something greater than anything you have known. Not because you are lucky, but because you are chosen, because God is about to do something big, so big that the heavens themselves must make room for what is coming. So lean in, open your heart, and let us speak of the signs that tell you a divine shift is on its way. When God is preparing your life for something greater, the first sign is not loud and it is not always clear. It begins as a quiet trembling deep beneath the surface of your being. You may not see it, but you feel it, a kind of holy stirring that refuses to let you be who you used to be. It is as if the soul itself is stretching, asking for space, urging you to rise a little higher than your comfort, a little further than your fear. This stirring will call your name in moments when the world is silent. It will wake you in the middle of the night with thoughts that are heavier than dreams. It will make you aware that something in your life is shifting, even if you cannot yet explain what or why. And though the feeling may confuse you, it is not meant to frighten you. It is God whispering, "Prepare, I am doing something new." You may find yourself growing restless in places where you once felt settled. What used to satisfy you now feels too small. What once made you comfortable now feels confining, like clothes you have outgrown. This restlessness is not a sign of impatience. It is a sign of transformation. The soul knows before the mind does, and it begins to tug at your spirit, urging you to notice what your eyes cannot yet see. It is God creating space within you for the blessing that is coming, a blessing that requires a bigger version of you. So when the restlessness rises, when your old ways no longer feel aligned with your new spirit, understand that this is the first gentle knock of destiny. As this stirring grows, you may begin questioning parts of yourself you once accepted without thought. You may feel a sudden desire to change your environment, your habits, your direction. Old routines start to feel heavy. Old conversations feel tiring. Old versions of you feel distant. This is not a sign of dissatisfaction with life. It is a sign that life is preparing you for elevation. God is clearing out the old energy so you can step into the new with courage. The stirring is not meant to push you into confusion, but to lead you into clarity. It is God removing the noise so you can hear the calling. There will be moments when this inner shift feels overwhelming. You may wonder why you feel unsettled when nothing around you seems different. But the greatest changes begin within long before they appear on the outside. God works in the unseen before He reveals His plan, and the stirring you feel is your spirit catching up to your future. It is the sacred nudge that says, "You were meant for more, and the time is approaching." So do not ignore the trembling in your soul. Do not silence the voice within that tells you growth is coming. When God is about to do something big, He awakens you from the inside out. He prepares your heart before He shifts your path. And the very first sign is that deep, unshakable stirring, a holy reminder that something greater is already on its way to you. There comes a time in every journey when comfort begins to crumble, not because life has turned against you, but because life is pushing you toward the place you were always meant to rise. Divine discomfort is rarely gentle. It shows up in the small cracks first. The job that no longer fills your spirit, the friendships that feel strangely distant, the routines that once soothed you but now feel too tight around your soul. You may try to hold on, to convince yourself that nothing is wrong, but something inside you keeps insisting that you cannot stay where you are. That tug is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God reshaping your surroundings so you can step into a higher version of yourself. This discomfort often begins quietly. You might wake up one day feeling slightly uneasy, as if your own life suddenly doesn't fit. Then it grows. The conversations you used to enjoy feel repetitive. The places you once loved begin to lose their color. Even the dreams you've carried for years start to feel outdated, too small for the person you are becoming. You may not recognize these early signs for what they are because change rarely introduces itself politely. It murmurs first, giving your spirit time to adjust before it begins to thunder. Yet every whisper of unease has purpose. God is loosening the soil around you so you can be replanted somewhere richer. Sometimes this divine discomfort will pull you away from people you cared for deeply, not because they are bad, but because they cannot walk with you where you're headed. They may not understand your growth, your silence, your sudden need for space, and that misunderstanding can sting. But when God begins preparing your life for something big, He does not ask permission from those around you. He simply moves. And in that movement, certain connections fall away. The separation hurts, but the harm would be greater if you stayed tied to what could no longer nourish you. Discomfort becomes the shepherd, guiding you away from what was never meant to carry your future. There will be days when you question why everything feels so difficult. You may wonder if you made a wrong turn, or if you're losing parts of yourself rather than gaining them. But divine discomfort is not here to break you. It is here to reveal you. The pressure you feel is shaping a strength you didn't know you had. The confusion is teaching you faith. The endings are creating room for beginnings you cannot yet imagine. Growth demands space, and God will not allow you to remain in places that limit your purpose. And while discomfort can feel like chaos, it is actually a sacred order. It is the cleansing before the blessing, the stretching before the rising. It is the moment when God removes the familiar to prepare you for the extraordinary. So when your comfort begins to crumble, and when life starts shifting beneath your feet, do not fear. You are not falling apart. You are being moved. You are being lifted. You are being prepared for something far greater than the life you once settled for. Divine discomfort is the holy sign that your breakthrough is already on its way. There comes a moment in your journey when everything around you seems to slow down, almost as if the world has taken a gentle step back. The noise that once filled your days fades into the distance. The constant rush, the endless movement, the familiar rhythm of your life suddenly grows quiet. At first, this stillness might feel unsettling. You may wonder why the energy that once carried you forward has softened, why the momentum you depended on has paused. But this quiet is not an accident. It is not a void or a punishment. It is God drawing you inward, inviting you into a place where your spirit can breathe without interference, where your heart can hear what your busy life drowned out. In this unexpected stillness, you may feel a heaviness you cannot explain, or a calm that feels too sudden to trust. You may question whether you've lost your passion, your direction, or your clarity. But the truth is that God often quiets your world so you can finally listen to your soul. The answers you've been seeking, the healing you've been avoiding, the dreams you've long buried, these things rise only when life becomes slow enough for you to notice them. Stillness gives you a chance to face yourself without distraction. And while it may feel uncomfortable at first, it is a sacred moment of truth. It is a pause written into your path so you can reconnect with the deepest parts of who you are. As the quiet settles around you, you may find yourself sitting with emotions you once outran, grief you pushed aside, fears you never acknowledged, dreams you convinced yourself to forget. They all begin to surface. And though their presence may feel overwhelming, they are not appearing to break you. They are coming forward to free you. In the noise of everyday life, it is easy to bury what hurts and postpone what matters. But in stillness, the heart speaks. It tells you what needs to be released, what needs to be healed, what needs to be reborn. God uses silence as a tool to cleanse your spirit, to make room for the blessings preparing to enter your life. This stillness may also distance you from people you once saw every day. Conversations become shorter, social spaces feel draining, the desire to be constantly available fades. You begin craving solitude, not out of loneliness, but out of alignment. When God is about to elevate you, He often sets you apart, so the voices of the world do not drown out the whisper of your purpose. In the quiet, He reveals things you couldn't see while you were surrounded by noise. He reminds you of your strength, your worth, and the dreams He planted inside you long ago. And though the silence may stretch longer than you expect, trust that it has meaning. Stillness is not the absence of progress, it is the foundation of it. It is the moment when your spirit gathers strength, when your vision clears, when your heart prepares for what is coming. God quiets you not to stop you, but to strengthen you, not to empty your life, but to fill it. When the world grows still, it is a sign that God is rearranging your future. And in that quiet space, if you listen closely, you will hear the gentle promise of what He is preparing you to receive. There will come a season when doors that once opened easily begin to close, and no amount of effort, pleading, or persistence can pry them back open. Opportunities you prepared for slip through your hands. Plans you were certain about unravel without warning. Paths you trusted suddenly end in silence. And in those moments, confusion settles over you like a thick fog. You may ask yourself what went wrong. You may wonder why God would allow a door to slam shut when your heart was so ready to walk through it. But closed doors are not signs of failure. They are signs of protection, guided by a wisdom far greater than your own. At first, these closed doors will sting. You will feel the weight of disappointment pressing against your chest, the job you didn't get, the relationship that didn't last, the opportunity that seemed perfect but slipped away. They may all feel like losses, but hidden beneath each no is a divine redirection. It is God saying, "Not this way." It is Him shielding you from what would have delayed you, distracted you, or diminished you. You see only the path in front of you, but God sees the path beyond it. He knows where each road leads. And sometimes His greatest mercy is found in the doors He does not allow you to walk through. When a door closes, confusion tries to convince you that something is wrong with you, that you are not enough, not deserving, not prepared. But closed doors are rarely about your worth. They are often about timing, alignment, and protection. God is never careless with your journey. He will not let you settle in a place that cannot hold your purpose. He will not let you bind your spirit to something that was never meant to last. So what feels like rejection is often a rescue. What feels like the end is actually a divine beginning disguised in disappointment. You may find yourself trying everything to reopen what has already been closed. You may revisit old conversations, retry old plans, or cling to old connections. But the more you force it, the heavier your spirit begins to feel. That heaviness is a sign. It is God gently telling you to step back, to breathe, to trust Him more than your own understanding. Closed doors are not punishments, they are pivots. They turn you away from what was temporary and guide you toward what is destined. In time, you will see the wisdom behind the doors that did not open. You will look back and realize that the things you thought you wanted were too small for the life God was shaping for you. The opportunities that fell apart made room for blessings you could not have imagined. The relationships that ended created space for the people who were meant to stay. Every closed door was leading you to the one door you were created to walk through. So when a door shuts and confusion tries to cloud your faith, remember this: you are not being denied, you are being directed. You are not being pushed out, you are being moved forward. And every no you hear along the way carries a holy whisper that says, "My child, your blessing is not behind this door. Keep walking. I am leading you somewhere greater." There will be seasons when life feels as though it has erupted into chaos. Everything you thought was secure begins to shake. Situations collide all at once. Problems you never expected arrive uninvited, and the ground beneath you seems to shift with every step you take. In these moments, it is easy to feel overwhelmed. You may wonder why everything is happening at the same time, why challenges gather like storm clouds, why peace feels so far away. But what feels like chaos on the surface often carries a deeper meaning. It is in the storm that God begins revealing truths you could not see when life was smooth and predictable. At first, the chaos may confuse you. You might try to restore control, to fix every loose end, to calm every wave. But the more you try to hold everything together, the more you realize that something greater than your own strength is at work. And in that realization, something shifts within you. You stop focusing on the noise and begin paying attention to the patterns. You stop panicking over what is breaking and start noticing what is being revealed. Chaos, as painful as it may be, becomes a teacher. It breaks the routines that blinded you. It exposes the weaknesses you ignored. It forces you to confront the truths you were too busy to see. As the storm continues, moments of sudden clarity begin to rise like lanterns in the dark. You start understanding why certain people acted the way they did. You begin to see why you were pushed out of environments that no longer nurtured your spirit. You find meaning in conversations that once felt confusing. You recognize how every pressure point in your life is shaping you, teaching you, preparing you. What once felt like random hardship begins forming a pattern, and within that pattern you start to see purpose. You see how the storm isn't here to drown you, but to strengthen your discernment. It's here to sharpen your vision. It's here to remove what cannot stand in your future. There will be a moment, even in the midst of turmoil, when your spirit begins to understand what your mind has been fighting. You will realize that the challenges rising around you are not happening to destroy you, but to elevate you. You start seeing yourself differently. You notice the strength you didn't know you had. You see how far you've come, how deeply you've grown, how capable you are of enduring. Clarity arrives not as a shout, but as a calm truth that settles in your chest, that there was purpose in every disruption and meaning in every moment you felt lost. And as clarity grows, so does your peace. Not because the storm disappears instantly, but because you begin to trust the one guiding you through it. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin whispering, "What is this teaching me?" Suddenly, the chaos that once blinded you becomes the very thing that opens your eyes. And in that moment, you understand that when God is preparing you for something big, He allows storms not to break you, but to show you what you carry inside you, the wisdom, the strength, the courage, and the purpose that were waiting to rise. There will come a time when blessings begin to show up in ways that make you pause, ways that make you blink twice, because they arrive so gently, so unexpectedly, that they almost feel unreal. You may find yourself wondering how doors suddenly opened when you had long stopped knocking, how connections appeared when you felt isolated, how possibilities surfaced in the very places where you once only found disappointment. These moments are not accidents, they are quiet signatures of divine hands at work. When God is preparing you for something greater, He does not always move loudly. Sometimes He moves with a softness that can take your breath away, arranging opportunities in the shadows long before you ever see them in the light. At first, these opportunities might seem small, almost insignificant. A chance meeting with someone who speaks life into your dreams, a phone call you weren't expecting, a new idea that enters your mind with a spark that refuses to dim. These little moments may feel random, but they are threads being woven into a much larger design. You may not notice the pattern immediately, but each thread carries a purpose. God often begins big blessings with gentle beginnings, allowing you to step into them with grace rather than fear. And as you follow these small openings, you begin to feel the shift. What once felt impossible starts to feel reachable. What once felt distant begins to draw near. As these new opportunities unfold, you might question whether you are ready. Doubt may creep in, whispering that what is appearing is too good to be true, too sudden, too aligned, too perfect. But what you call sudden, God calls timed. What you call surprising, God calls prepared. He has been working behind the scenes long before you saw any evidence. And when the moment is right, when your spirit is steady enough to carry the weight of your next level, He allows those opportunities to surface, not because you chased them, but because He chose them for you. And the more you lean into trust, the more clearly you see that these blessings are not an accident, they are an answer. There will also be opportunities that scare you with their size, doors that open so wide you feel small standing in front of them, invitations that stretch your faith, stretch your courage, stretch your sense of who you thought you were. These doors do not open to intimidate you, they open to reveal you. They show you the strength you have earned through seasons of pain, perseverance, and growth. They show you how far you've come from the days when you doubted your worth. New opportunities are not just signs of God's favor, they are signs of your readiness. They are evidence that you have grown into the person capable of carrying what once would have crushed you. And as you step into these new blessings, more begin to appear. Paths connect. People support you without asking for anything in return. The right words come at the right time. The right guidance arrives precisely when you need it. Everything begins to align, not because life suddenly became easy, but because you finally aligned with your purpose. When God starts arranging your path, you will know it, not by the loudness of the blessings, but by the peace they bring. Opportunities begin to flow with a grace you did not force, a timing you did not control, and a beauty you could not have orchestrated on your own. And in those moments, you will feel it deep in your spirit. Something big is unfolding, and every new opportunity is a step toward the destiny that has been waiting for you. There will come a moment in your journey when you begin to notice something shifting inside you. Something quiet yet powerful, something steady yet unfamiliar. Situations that once overwhelmed you no longer shake your spirit the same way. Things that used to break you now barely bend you. The weight you thought would crush you becomes the very thing that teaches you how strong you truly are. This rising strength does not come suddenly. It grows slowly, built through every tear you shed, every battle you fought in silence, every night you spent wondering if you would ever find your way through. And then one day, without fanfare or applause, you feel it, a grounding, a steadiness, a resilience that wasn't there before. It is as if the storms that once threw you around now bow to the calm within you. This inner strength often reveals itself during the moments you least expect. You may find yourself facing a challenge that once would have terrified you, yet instead of panicking, you respond with clarity. Instead of falling apart, you remain grounded. Instead of doubting yourself, you trust what you have learned. The situations that used to make you feel helpless now bring out a quiet determination in you. You begin to realize that the hardships you survived were not pointless. They were training. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every loss, every delay shaped you into someone more resilient, more aware, more rooted. The strength rising inside you is the proof that nothing you endured was wasted. As this strength grows, your relationship with fear begins to change. Fear will still show up. It always does, but it no longer controls you. It no longer speaks louder than your faith. You stop running from challenges and start stepping toward them with a newfound confidence. You discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move anyway. And with every step you take, your resilience becomes more evident. You begin to trust yourself in ways you never have before. You begin to see that you are capable of facing far more than you once believed. This realization becomes a powerful turning point in your life. There will also be moments when others notice this strength before you do. They may tell you they admire how you carry yourself, how you keep going, how you hold on to grace, even when life is heavy. You may shrug it off, unaware of how far you have come. But their recognition is a reminder that your growth is visible, that your resilience radiates quietly from your spirit. People will sense something different in you, not arrogance, not hardness, but a calm rootedness that comes from surviving storms with your soul intact. This strength is not loud, it does not boast, it simply is, and it makes its presence known in how you move through the world. Eventually, you will look back at the situations that once made you feel powerless and realize they were the birthplace of your strength. What felt like breaking was actually building. What felt like an ending was really preparation. The pain you thought would destroy you carved out space for courage. The darkness that surrounded you taught you how to find light within yourself. And the resilience rising inside you becomes your revelation, a sacred understanding that you are not defined by what happened to you, but by how you rose from it. So when you feel that quiet strength growing, do not question it, do not doubt it. It is not accidental, it is not temporary. It is a sign that God has been shaping you for something far greater than the battles you've already fought. Strength rising within you is the clearest sign of all. You are becoming the person your future requires, and nothing ahead of you is too big for the power now living inside you. There comes a time when life begins to whisper, then insist that you release what you have been holding on to for far too long. At first, the message comes softly. You may feel a discomfort around things that once felt familiar. The habits, people, and patterns that used to bring you comfort begin to feel heavy in your hands. You sense that something in your life no longer fits, no longer fuels you, no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Yet letting go is never easy. The human heart clings to what it knows, even when what it knows keeps it small. But when God is preparing to elevate you, He will not allow you to stay attached to what limits your growth. This call to let go often begins with subtle signs. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced. Environments that used to energize you now drain your spirit. You may find yourself feeling out of place in the very spaces where you used to feel at home. This shift is not a failure, it is a nudge, a whisper from deep within saying, you have outgrown this. You may resist that truth because familiarity is a powerful anchor, but anchors can keep you from drifting into danger, and they can also keep you from sailing into your destiny. When God wants to move you forward, He begins loosening the ties that keep you tethered to what was. Letting go can also come with discomfort, because sometimes the things you need to release are the very things you once prayed for. Maybe it's a relationship that no longer brings peace. Maybe it's a dream that has reached its season's end. Maybe it's a version of yourself that was necessary for survival, but no longer serves your purpose. The heart may struggle to accept that something once meaningful must now be released, but God sees what you cannot. He knows when something has completed its assignment in your life. Holding on to it out of fear or nostalgia will only slow your journey. What feels like loss is often liberation in disguise. As the call to let go grows louder, you may notice increasing tension around the things you are meant to release. The tighter you cling, the heavier they feel. The more you resist, the more life begins to press on you. This pressure is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is God revealing that you cannot carry everything where you are going. Every elevation requires separation. Every new chapter requires closing the old one. And while your heart may grieve what is ending, your spirit knows the truth. You are being prepared for a new beginning that needs both your hands free. There will come a moment when you finally surrender, when you unclench your grip, not because you no longer care, but because you finally trust the one who is guiding you. And in that surrender, you will feel something shift. You will feel space opening inside you. You will feel peace replacing fear. You will feel a lightness that reminds you that holding on was the true burden, not the letting go. You will begin to understand that release is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to your faith. And over time, you will look back and realize that everything you released made room for everything you needed. The people who left allowed new connections to arrive. The chapters that ended opened doors you never knew existed. The identity you shed allowed your true self to emerge. Every act of letting go was, in truth, an act of rising. Letting go is not the end. It is the sacred threshold you must cross to reach the life that has been waiting for you. There will come a point in your journey when, after all the storms, after all the stretching, after all the breaking and rebuilding, something inside you grows remarkably quiet, not empty, not numb, quiet. A stillness settles into your spirit that you cannot fully explain. Life around you may still be loud, responsibilities may still pull at you, and challenges may still stand in your path, yet underneath it all, there is a peace that does not make sense, a peace that does not match your circumstances, a peace that feels like it belongs to another world. And in that moment, your soul knows something sacred. This peace is not from you, it is placed within you. You might wake up one morning and realize that the things that once caused you anxiety no longer claim your breath. The worries that used to shake you lose their power. The burdens that felt unbearable feel lighter, not because they disappeared, but because your heart is being held by something greater than yourself. This peace does not ignore your reality, it simply refuses to be defeated by it. It whispers to you that you are protected, guided, strengthened, and watched over. It tells you that everything you have been walking through has been leading somewhere. And even if nothing has changed on the outside yet, something has changed profoundly on the inside. This peace often arrives in the quiet moments, when you're not trying to figure out your life, when you're not overthinking what comes next, when you finally stop fighting what you cannot control. It slips in like a gentle breeze, filling the parts of you that exhaustion hollowed out. You may not even notice the exact moment it entered. You only realize you are no longer drowning in your doubts. The fear that once roared inside you now feels distant, like an echo fading in the background. It is in this peace that God begins to steady your steps for the breakthrough that is approaching. You may look around and think nothing has changed, but if you look within, you'll see that everything has. The heaviness you carried for so long no longer clings to your spirit. The questions that kept you awake at night no longer torment your mind. The future that once frightened you no longer feels threatening. This shift is not accidental. It is divine. It is the quiet preparation before the unveiling. It is God calming your spirit so you can recognize the blessing He's preparing to place in your hands. Peace is His way of saying, you do not need to fear what comes next. I am already there. Others may notice this peace before you do. They may comment on how calm you seem, how grounded you've become, how steady your presence feels. They may not know the battles you fought silently, the nights you cried into your pillow, the moments you almost gave up, but they will feel the shift in you, because divine peace is not subtle. It radiates. It softens your words, steadies your decisions, strengthens your spirit. It allows you to walk through change without trembling, to stand in uncertainty without losing your center. And then, often without warning, the breakthrough follows. Not because you forced it, not because you chased it, but because you were finally still enough to receive it. Peace is always the final sign. It is the last turning of the soil before the harvest breaks through the ground. It is the breath before the blessing, the calm before the elevation, the quiet before God reveals what He has been preparing for you all along. And when that peace settles into your spirit, know this: you are standing on the edge of something big, something sacred, something meant entirely for you.